Hi, film addicts. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have Clayton Guiltner. He's an award winning writer, director, and producer, and he is the owner of the Guiltner Creative. Welcome to the show, Clayton.
Oh, Marilyn, thank you so much for having me. I love your show. I'm a Film Addicts fan. Congrats on all of your success.
Oh, thank you so much. So, Clayton, so you're in LA, right?
Yes, I am in LA.
Great. Yeah. So we're having a lovely winter locked up in lovely LA. So, but I want to know, growing up, was there a favorite film of yours?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. But, when I was a teenager, I saw Amadeus for the first time. It was just an amazing film. Amadeus was probably not a film that a lot of teenagers my age connected to at that time. But what really resonated to me was not only was the story, which was a story of two artists really dueling against each other, and the passion that came out of the main character Salieri in that film. Just I don't know, there was just something about it that I connected to as an artist. I think as a young artist, not even really knowing where I was going in my career, but also just the elaborate costumes and the sense of period that movie captured. What really got my attention. And the the film has all of these throwbacks to opera and the theater and what was going on in storytelling during that time period. And I was really enamored by that. And I think it really shaped my outlook as an artist. And then moving into live theater and eventually into film, I think it really made an impact on me at a young age, as films tend to do. We all have our own version, our own favorites and our influences. And as nerdy as it makes me, that one was mine.
Wow. Yeah, I thought it was very cute. The guy who played Amadeus, he had a nice smile, and it made me happy, that movie. And I love the costumes as well. So a great choice. And then also, I'm wondering if there was a Criterion movie that possibly influenced you on your road to being a producer and filmmaker.
What's so funny about that is also in my teenage years, and I assume this movie fits under the correct Criterion category, but it's a Mad, 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 Mad World in 1963, and crazy comedy, just off the wall, but a plot line that really carries the audience from the very beginning, and we want to know what's going to happen, who's going to win this race. And again, as a teenager, it shaped me. I don't know what really attracted to me that, but I think it was the plot that attracted me to that film. And it's one I love even today, still to this day. And ironically, my office is across the street from the ArcLight Theater in Hollywood off Sunset, and that's where this movie premiered in 1963. And so every time I walk down the street, walk by the ArcLight there, the dome, I'm kind of nostalgic.
I remember watching that movie with my mom and dad, and my mom was laughing so hard, and it was just such a fun screwball comedy, and just the chase and just it's yeah, I love screwball comedy, and this one is certainly a winner. So yeah, what a oldie but great one. You have great choices. So yeah, and is there a director that you like in a great film shot?
Yeah, I mean, when I think about directors, there's so many to look at their work over time, but the director that just really continues to wow me with every film is Ron Howard. And I have so many examples, I guess, of films that he's shot. It's just the storytelling that he creates through his camera work and through his just the cinematic nature of how he tells a story is really, really astounding. And Apollo 13, while the story historically is accurate and is a really just a dynamic story that we would look at in a history book and say that could never happen, or we watch the film and we say that could never happen in real life, but yet it did. But I think that his sense of storytelling with all of the elements that a director uses, in the casting and in the music and in the look of the film, the camera shots and the angles, they tell the story in just an amazing dynamic way that really takes us back to that time period as well. So he really has made an impact on me in that way.
Yeah, Ron Howard, his films are really great. And I think, growing up as an actor, he's been on so many TV shows that he's probably learned a lot from being on the set. So it's made him really fantastic director. So great one. Also, I heard that you like a line from a movie. Can you tell me which one?
Yeah. So once upon a time in Hollywood, I mean, there are so many great lines in that. Rick Dalton, he says while he is firing the fire blaster, I don't even know what that's called. The fire blaster is what I call it. Anybody order fried sauerkraut? And he's just blowing everyone away with that. And I won't give it away since some people may not have seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I can't imagine if you haven't seen it yet, but it comes back later to to make an appearance. But anybody order fried sauerkraut? That's got to be one of the greatest lines in the cinematic history, right?
I like that. That's really fun. So yeah, something that a lot of people may not know about you is, can you tell us?
Yeah, well, there's probably a lot of things people don't know about me, but one thing that I am proud of is the fact that I am a lifetime member of the renowned Actors Studio in West Hollywood. I'm actually in the directors unit. So the Actors Studio, we have the actors primarily, which is the large part of the studio, but we also have a directors unit, and we put up our work. We critique each other's work. We hone our craft as directors and as actors. And I was fortunate enough to join the Actors Studio several years ago through a mentor of mine, Lou Antonio, who is one of the artistic directors there at the Actors Studio. And he invited me to sit in as a guest one day in a rehearsal. And the Actors Studio is closed to the public, and it is by invitation only. So I was honored to just be sitting there amongst a lot of the greats, in theater and in film, and not just in LA here, but also in New York. And just the history and heritage of the Actors Studio of something I learned about in college and something that I've read about history books. And so I sat there that day in rehearsal and was just amazed and awed. And then several years later, as my career began to develop and as I began to get more involved in trying to make a transition outside of theater and into the film world, I was invited to put in my application and become a member of the directors unit. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of the work that we do there.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think when we were talking earlier, I have a call back to the Actors Studio as an actor, but yeah, I would love to apply for the director because I love directing and it's my passion. So yeah, I'm just really proud of you. Congratulations. That's a big accolades because yeah, it's invite only, and so congratulations. That's wonderful. And I'm wondering
yeah, well, we hope you can make it into the unit, and I hope to see you perform. Maybe I'll direct you in a scene.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I wanted to see, like, can you tell us how you started, and what was your passion, like what made you go into the field?
Well, when I was growing up as a kid, I feel like I wasn't good at anything. I mean, in terms of really academics, I was an average student in school. I enjoyed school, but I was just, I wasn't the brainchild making straight A's. I wasn't into sports. I was very uncoordinated, as a kid growing up, and on into middle school, junior high, and high school. And so at an early age, I started I started getting into the theater side, and I started acting, and I really more or less found my voice in that. Just even as a child, and auditioning for the all school musical, and I would audition, and I would get a couple of lines and get to step up to the microphone and say the lines. And normally, as a shy kid, that was, for some reason, it was something that gave me confidence to step up to the microphone and speak. And so I started developing that side of my talent, I guess, and just of that side of me as an artist. And so, so I started my career moving out of school into college, and I started my career as an actor. I toured the United States as a live stage actor, and pretty soon after having a career in that for a couple of years, I started really feeling like I was being very critical of myself. I had the little man on my shoulder telling me, "You're no good. You should say this line differently, or you should walk differently in this part of the scene." And so I started to discover that that little voice was actually a director's voice, more or less. And so I discovered, hey, maybe I should look at directing, and especially when I started to, at least in my mind, critique other actors who were on stage with me. Of course, that's a no-no for us to do as actors, but in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they could do this differently. And so I started moving into directing, and I really made a big transition at that point, and pursued directing, and did that for many years, both for stage and for film. And then out of necessity, really, I started learning the business side, which was the producing side, and figuring out how the business works, and how we put projects together, how we fund them, how we organize them, how we mount a production, both in live theater and film. And so that's been it's just been for me in the last several years. I've been writing, I've been directing, I've been producing. I haven't done a whole lot of acting, but I'm really excited. I've had an opportunity in the last several years to be in a collaboration with a producing team. Mr. Hal Lieberman, who's the former president of Universal Studios. So in fact, he was the head of Universal Studios, going back and talking about Apollo 13. That was one of his films back in the day that he produced. So I'm in a collaboration with Hal Lieberman and Donna Lloyd, and together, I'm writing and I'm producing along with them, and we're creating TV show pitches and concepts and films. We've got a film that we're working on, a Christmas movie for next year, and so we've got a lot of really cool things in the canon there.
Oh, wonderful. That's amazing. I was wondering, on your way up, was there some difficult challenges that you faced and how did you find ways to overcome those?
Well, I mean, this, and probably anyone who's in our business understands just the rigors of gig work, I guess you could say, and jumping from job to job, and we call it the hustle, and
Yeah.
we have, we work survival jobs, and we do everything we can to make ends meet while we're pursuing our careers and while we're doing what we do. And honestly, for me, that never ends. I continue to hustle, and find ways to pay the bills while doing the work. So I guess it's just a matter of figuring out how am I comfortable with rejection? How am I comfortable with the constant drive and energy that it takes to continue to push projects forward? And some days I'm good with it, some days I'm not. But probably one of the biggest challenges I have faced has been this year, 2020. When we've run into this global pandemic. And all of us who are listening to this understand what an impact it's made on our country and on every industry, and certainly in the entertainment industry. And my company took a hit in March, and we had planned to mount a play festival, and we're planning on doing a live theater show in New York City in March, April. And obviously we were not able to do that. So we began to pivot and figure out a way to shoot in a stay-at-home environment. How can we shoot film and shoot this project? We weren't real interested in doing a Zoom live theater thing. We wanted to make it a little bit more meaningful than that, I guess you could say, or just a little more dynamic than what we could do on Zoom in a reading. So we just began to pivot and figure out how can we do this. And so we filmed some segments and we put it together. We've been in post-production. We've got a couple of those projects out now and another one in the works. And it's been very rewarding. So what turned out to be and continues to be a huge challenge in 2020 with the pandemic as we continue to move on, also on the flip side of that is just extraordinarily rewarding from an artist standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint. And it just kind of, quickens us to be our best and figure out how can we be the most creative with even more limitations than we're used to. So it's been a good year and a horrible year all at the same time.
Yes. And is there a place where they can see the theater? You said it was streaming.
Yeah. So we have the show that we've created this season. We have on YouTube right now, and we're hoping to get that up on Amazon as well. And we've got 2 episodes available now, and we've got another one in the computer waiting to go.
Great. And what's the name of that so that our listeners
can
find
it? I'm sorry. So the name of that is called Portrayals. And the really interesting story behind that is we, in going into the pandemic, really shifted and changed the nature of that work to tell stories from the 1918 pandemic. So what we've done is we've compiled a bunch of research from letters and diaries from people who wrote about the 1918 pandemic and their experiences, and we've pulled those in. And so our show is portraying those people, and in some cases it's their voices. The scripts are original, but we've used a lot of their stories for inspiration, and in some cases even some of the same exact words that they used. And so it's been a really timely show, and it's called Portrayals, Stories Inspired from the 1918 Pandemic. And you can find more information about that on our website at guiltnercreative.com.
Oh, great. Beautiful. It sounds wonderful and lovely. And I was wondering, we all film, and there's always those moments on the film set that could err on the side of comedy or frustration. Do you have any funny stories when filming?
Yeah, I have a lot, I'm sure, and some that may be inappropriate, but but one that comes to mind, and it may not be that funny to people, but it's still very funny to me. We were on location filming a dream sequence where an actress was supposed to answer the door, and then she's supposed to, because it's a dream, she falls in love with the man instantaneously upon sight. And it was a comedy, and we wanted it to be overdramatic. And I just said in passing, I said, "Oh, I wish we could have wind blowing her hair here when the door opens, and we'll play romantic music, and it will just be over the top and ridiculous," which is, probably a throwback to It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, where it's a little screwball. So anyway, our makeup artist, who had been on set many times, and she had done a great job as our makeup artist, I turned around, and the next thing I know, she's got a big poster board, and she's sitting down in front of the camera just out of sight, and she's waving that poster board and blowing the actress's hair. And it was just so sketchy, so no budget at that point, so beyond low budget, it was no budget. And we just laughed at how ridiculous this moment was. But the funny thing about it is it worked, and it actually, it actually blew her hair just perfectly, and we were able to put it in slow-mo and play the music in post-production, and it was really a funny moment. And it was the makeup designer, the makeup artist, who just jumped in and said, "Oh, I got this. We'll do this."
That's funny. And what about the dog? There was a dog or something that came into...
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to talk about my dog. So we picked up this dog several years ago. He's a rescue dog. So we didn't really know a lot about his background, but we were filming a scene in my living room, actually in February, right before the COVID hit. And we were in my living room, complete with the crew, the cameras, lights, actors, everyone was here. And I wasn't able to find a sitter for the dog. I wasn't able to get him into a kennel. And so he was there with us. And so we had a production assistant who would be scheduled to take him on walks and figure out how we can keep him out of the fray. Well, it turns out he was very good. He everyone was endeared to him on that shoot. And he was a good boy. He would lay down while we were shooting. But the funny thing that would happen is every time I would yell cut, or not yell, but I would say cut when the scene was over, he would stand up and walk over to me, almost like a ritual, like, okay, he's cut. Now I can go greet him and visit him. And he knew when we were shooting not to visit me, but he knew once I said cut that it was appropriate to visit me. So I don't know what it is, but he knew what etiquette to have on a set. So we began to wonder if maybe he had been on set before.
Oh, that is so cute. What's his name?
His name is Hendrix.
Hendrix. Oh, yes. I wondered who he was named after.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's so wonderful. Your journey to becoming this. Can you tell me about like one of your awards? Because you have these awards, and would like I want to share that with the audience today.
Yeah, well, we won an award for the Synopsis Awards. I won for director for a project called A Candle for My Mother, which was a promotional project for a book that was written by one of our producers. And that was a great honor to receive that award. We were up against some of the big guys, Paramount and Disney and some of the big guys. And
wow.
And we're sitting in the awards ceremony in New York, and my producer leaned over and said, "I hope you have a speech ready." And I kind of laughed it off because I thought, we're not going to win this. We're up against the big guys. And sure enough, we won. And so we got up and gave a speech. And that was the first thing out of my mouth was, well, we're the little guys here. But but anyway, it was a really great honor and to win that award. And also we have a film on Amazon now that has gotten several accolades from several film festivals. And also our production of Portrayals has also gotten some notice from some of the film festivals as well so far. So we're excited about that as well.
Can you tell us the name of the film on Amazon so our audience can check that out?
Yes, the film on Amazon is called Some Things Private. Some Things Private. And ironically, that one is also a kind of a sci-fi mystery that has to do with, I won't give it away, but it has to do with something mysterious in the air, kind of like COVID a little bit.
Oh, great. Yeah, so wonderful. And I like how that you, the award that you got in New York, you said it was something for your mom or?
Yes, that project is called A Candle for My Mother.
Oh,
and we have clips from that on our website as well.
Oh, see, mom. I think mom is right beside you and putting a little sparkle on your career. So that's a nice award, and I'm sure your mom's really proud and happy. Well, Clayton, I know it's been a hard year for everyone, and you said how how COVID has affected your art, and I was just wondering, where will you be going next year, and moving forward?
Well, we would hope that we're able to get back into the swing of things, and we're just taking it a month at a time, honestly, at this point, to figure out what's next. How do we make it from month to month? I think that the anticipation is by the summer, we would hope we will be back into spaces, and we will be back into an environment where we can have screenings and where we can have live theater and where we can be in meetings and having coffees together and all of the kinds of things that we miss so much.
Yeah, we've just been making drinks at home.
Yeah, that's right.
There's something about, meeting some for coffee and having that social connection And literally, people have been enjoying shows like Film Addict because they get a sense of there's people out there that are going through COVID. There's artists out there, and we need to connect. And people are listening and wanting to connect and finding ways. So I just wanted to just say, Clayton, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We're so happy to have had you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my honor.
Yeah, and the audience can catch up with you at guiltnercreative.com. So that's GLITNER creative.com. And I just want to wish our audience a very happy and healthy new year. And until next week, cheers, everyone.